Out of my head. It's so wonderful to have you all in the room, and today we are celebrating. It's a beautiful day here in upstate New York. A little on the chilly side, and I'm feeling that little push towards autumn. But don't spread the word. We're going to hope to get a few more days of summer out of this somehow. And I see, oh, more people are coming in. Great. We have the chat room, and you can say hi to each other. And today we are in the company of someone that I go way, 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 way back. I don't want to go too far back, but as you can see with my gray hair, I identify myself. I've been around for a while. And my dear friend today, Charlotte Blake Alston, she is a remarkable master storyteller. When I say master storyteller, I mean the woman is a master storyteller. But she's many other things as well. She's a singer, she's a librettist. She has performed for years, I think 30 years, with the Philadelphia Orchestra and other orchestras, and she travels around the world, although right now we are all here in our virtual world. But Charlotte Blake Alston is a legacy performer of the word. And Charlotte and I have been catching up for about 20 minutes because we haven't seen each other for a long, long time. But I know a lot of you know who she is. A lot of you have been with her in this room. And today I'm going to welcome Charlotte to bring it to us and help us to lift our hearts and our minds into this new week that promises to give us lots of opportunities to shine, shine, shine. Charlotte,
Hi,
how are you?
Dennis. Thank you so much. I am doing well. I am great. It's good to be here. Thanks once again to the Rebels for providing this virtual space for us to come together. I heard lots of names as you were greeting people who I have had long time connections with, and hopefully we'll have those connections far into the future. So for this set, I decided to go back into body of work and songs that I was taught to treasure, that I grew up on, and I continue to treasure, and that's the old African American spirituals. So the one we're going to do today is Members Don't Get Weary. And I told Reggie I had to go to my old 2 volume uh, collection of African American spirituals that's put together by James Weldon Johnson and his brother. It's the 2 volume set. So members don't get, and I told Reggie, I think this belonged to my mother, actually. It's on my shelf still. But every now and then I peruse through there because there's a large number of them that never get sung. You don't hear them. There's some that are fairly standard ones that we hear a lot. So this is one that we don't really hear very much of. So gonna teach you the chorus of it and then the sound of one of the verses. I've kept in 2 of the traditional verses, and that is keep your lamps trimmed and burning. And that's actually a spiritual unto itself. Keep your lamps trimmed and burning. And a couple of the churches that I attended, it actually was the processional, often that's used by the choir when they enter the sanctuary. But it was always spoken to remind people to stay forever watchful and mindful. The other is I'm going down to the river of Jordan. And that river of Jordan has a symbolism in African American history and tradition of both physical and spiritual transcendence. Water cleanses us. We are baptized in water. We are immersed in the water and we come up new and clean and we wash away the old. The water is the place where someone could run because the scent would not be picked up by dogs. So often if you heard the River of Jordan sung in any song, it was that time for that person who had made the decision to run, to go, and to go to the river. So I've kept those 2 verses in, and then the remaining verses are verses that I have added in. So I was telling Reggie that although I'm 39, my voice, my vocal cords are in their 7th decade. So they don't do the things that they used to do. And I've dropped down almost into the bass section of some choirs. So I have to be mindful of pitching things higher than I normally would. So here we are here. So here's what the chorus sounds like. Members don't get weary. Members don't get weary. Members don't get weary, for the work's not done. Listen one more time. Members don't get weary. Members don't get weary. Members don't get weary, for the work's not done. So let's try that together one time. Members don't get weary. Members don't get weary. Members don't on high get weary, for the work's not done. One more time. Members don't get weary. Members don't get weary. Members don't get weary, for the work's not done. Verse, keep your lamps trimmed and burning. Keep your lamps trimmed and burning. Keep your lamps trimmed and burning till our work is done. Here we go. Keep your lamps trimmed and burning. Keep your lamps trimmed and burning. Keep your lamps trimmed and burning till our work is done. So what I'd like us to try to do is to sing the chorus one time and the verse one time. Members don't get weary. Members don't get weary. Members don't get weary, for the work's not done. Keep your lamps, keep your lamps trimmed and burning. Keep your lamps trimmed and burning. Keep your lamps trimmed and burning till our work is done. So we're going to do each chorus twice and each verse twice. And I don't have my what do you call it, view, but I'm hoping all the words shown in the chat.
I'm sorry, I don't think they are, but I think we're remembering them.
Okay, good enough.
Yes,
So I'm gonna,
chat.
Oh, they are in the chat.
okay, here we go. Members don't get
weary.
Members don't get weary. Members don't get weary, for the work's not done. Again, members don't get weary. Members don't get weary. Members don't get weary, for the work's not done. Keep your lamps trimmed and burning. Keep your lamps trimmed and burning. Keep your lamps trimmed and burning till our work is done. Again, keep your lamps trimmed and burning. Keep your lamps trimmed and burning. Keep your lamps trimmed and burning till our work is done. Members don't get weary. Members don't get weary. Members don't get weary, for the work's not done. Members don't get weary. Members don't get weary. Members don't get weary, for the work's not done. I'm going down to the river of Jordan. I'm going down to the river of Jordan. I'm going down to the river of Jordan when the work is done. Again, I'm going down to the river of Jordan. I'm going down to the river of Jordan. I'm going down to the river of Jordan when our work is done. Members don't get weary. Members don't get weary. Members don't get weary, for the work's not done. Members don't get weary. Members don't get weary. Members don't get weary, for the work's not done. I will walk and sing for justice. I will walk and sing for justice. I will walk and sing for justice till our work is done. I will walk and sing for justice. I will walk and sing for justice. I will walk and sing for justice till our work is done. Members, don't get weary. Members, don't get weary. Members, don't get weary, for the work's not done. Members, don't get weary. Members, don't get weary. Members, don't get weary, for the work's not done. I will lift my voice for freedom. I will lift my voice for freedom. I will lift my voice for freedom till our work is done. I will lift my voice for freedom. I will lift my voice for freedom. I will lift my voice for freedom till our work is done. Members, don't get weary. Members, don't get weary. Members, don't get weary, for the work's not done. Members, don't get weary. Members, don't get weary. Members, don't get weary, for the work's not done. I'm gonna get in some good trouble. I'm gonna get in some good trouble. I'm gonna get in some good trouble till our work is done. I'm gonna get in some good trouble. I'm gonna get in some good trouble. I'm gonna get in some good trouble till our work is done. Members, don't get weary. Members, don't get weary. Members, don't get weary, for the work's not done. Members, don't get weary. Members, don't get weary. Members, don't get weary, for the work's not done. I won't answer hate with silence. I won't answer hate with silence. I won't answer hate with silence till our work is done. I won't answer hate with silence. I won't answer hate with silence. I won't answer hate with silence till our work is done. Members, don't get weary. Members, don't get weary. Members, don't get weary, for the work's not done. Members, don't get weary. Members, don't get weary. Members, don't get weary, for the work's not done. We will offer love and healing. We will offer love and healing. We will offer love and healing till our work is done. Yes, we will offer love and healing. We will offer love and healing. We will offer love and healing till our work is done. Members, don't get weary. Members, don't get weary. Members, don't get weary, for the work's not done. Members, don't get weary. Members, don't get weary. Members, don't get weary, for the work's not done. One more time. Members, don't get weary. Members, don't get weary. Members, don't get weary, for the work's not done. For the work's not done. For the work's not done. For the work's not done.
Oh my, how powerful is that? Oh, what a message for today. What a
Written a
message.
long time ago.
Yeah, a good song just keeps on keeping on. And I love the verses that you added, and that, of course, is part of the tradition that people would take the songs and they would drop in a message that they wanted to resonate in the community.
And as
And
we know, so many of the spirituals were transformed during the civil rights movement
right.
and applied to what was happening at that time, but all based on those old spirituals.
I love that you included "I Will Get in Some Good Trouble."
Hey,
Let's hear it for John Lewis and Good Trouble. Charlotte, we were catching up before, and I showed my copy of Slave Songs in the United States. But we have to. A couple years ago, I was asked to come up to New York and sing uh, in a big program that a church was doing, a Black Baptist church was doing, and they were doing a whole night on the spirituals. And the choir director and musical director of the church, and this church had some phenomenal singers in it. I mean, all graduates of Berkeley and Juilliard, and all these studied voices traveling around the world. But what she told me was that they, as a church, were no longer singing the spirituals.
yeah, one church I attended used to relegate it to Black History Month, and that's when we heard them. But like you just stated, just a few seconds ago, these songs still resonate today. They still have power, and they still have lessons for us to learn. And the fact that many of these songs still need to be heard in our time, and I'm hopeful we'll get to a time when we can speak of them in an historical framework instead of their contemporary relevance.
Well, interestingly enough, I think you and I both know, and a lot of people in this room know that that time is a long way off.
Way off.
Not because that we don't want to end it, but as I often say to audiences and to schools, there are people in the world who do not want this to happen. And we are constantly battling that force of people who don't believe that people should get along together and don't want equality and don't want justice for whatever their reasons are.
Which is why our silence is not acceptable. The voices of hate have the bully pulpit right now. They have the megaphone right now, and we also need to raise our voices. So
I
parents can't be the answer.
No, and I think the more we sing together, we remind ourselves. I hear from a lot of people that they are weary, they are tired, they are frustrated, and certainly all of us experience that on a daily, weekly, or sometimes hourly basis. But I think that really was the magic of these songs, is that they gave the singers an opportunity to acknowledge that weariness, but having expressed it, not stay there.
Right, right, right. And for those who are hearing the songs to be touched and to be reminded. And it was songs that gave them courage to go out and raise their voices and lift their voices and walk and march. And during the time of the 60s, of course, it gave them the courage to go out at a time when they knew they might not come back home. They might be beaten, they might be jailed. But it was the music, it was the unison singing, the power of unison singing. I think one of the most fond memories I have growing up, my mother was a church organist, by the way, played pipe organ, but before the formal worship service, well, that meant that everybody in the house had to take piano lessons. So before the formal worship service was devotions. And there was no organ, no piano, no instrumentation, just the heel toe, bass, snare sound of people's feet singing "Wade in water," and that the power of the unison singing was just so transformative. Even as a child, I used to love to go into the devotions just to be caught up in the energy and the power of that unison singing. So us coming together to sing together, to share together, to speak the words in the song together, to make a pledge together, to respond to what's going on in whatever way we can where we are. It doesn't need to be some big grand action, but right where you are to affect change where you are, to respond to incidents of hatred or injustice where you are.
Paulette from Washington, D.C. wanted to know what you were using for percussion.
I'm using just a basic walking stick And I've laid down a little strip of wood here because I have a carpeted basement. Who does a carpeted basement? But a carpeted basement. So it's just a strip of wood here. And that cadence, that specific rhythm, is referred to as a ring shout rhythm that you can find often among the Gullah and the Georgia Sea Islands. And they would accompany that with a step together, step together, step, going in a ring around as they worship. So that's how it came to be known as a ring shout. But that's just one of my many walking sticks, hand carved by a friend of mine that I'm using, just tapping on a strip of wood.
You are rocketing me back to my childhood because I grew up in Philadelphia, of course,
Yes.
and went to the Nazarene Baptist Church, and we had a short devotion, and I always tell people my sister and I would fight my mother because we didn't want to get there that early, but she knew better than we did, and she would just say, "Y'all children, get your little butts together. We're going out the door in 20 minutes." And we would end up, but during the our first Sunday was communion Sunday, and we had to come back in the
Yes,
afternoon.
yes. Ours was in the evening.
Oh my Lord!
First Sunday evening. So you went back in the evening.
Well, we go back in the afternoon,
Had
and so
two
the afternoon
evenings.
service would start at 3, and they would sing uninterrupted till 5. And I used to like to steal downstairs if I could get out of my mother's clutches, and hear those feet on the floor
Yes.
because the
You could
muffled
hear them over
singing,
your head.
yeah.
Wow. Yeah. It was just powerful. That's the only word that I can use. Powerful and transcendent. It was just
It,
powerful.
it's in my bones. It's
Hmm.
literally in my bones. It's just I was able to thank my mother before she died for making sure we got there. Because Lord knows we'd have been home watching cartoons.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did see this morning. I don't know if you saw it, but there was a full page ad from about 600 Jewish organizations saying Black Lives Matter.
Wow. No, I
And so many of the spirituals, of course, were taken out of the Hebrew scriptures and taken from the stories that were read out of the Old Testament, as it were. And I just thought just that recommitment to the connections between the African American and Jewish community, just such a powerful thing for where, so much of these songs and so much of the activity during the civil rights
yeah,
movement goes out of.
yeah. I had the opportunity to work with, and I guess at some point we'll let people in, I guess, to talk. But
Yeah.
I had the opportunity to work with an organization here that went on for about 27, 28 years, and that was Operation Understanding, um, which was created around the time when there was increasing tension between the African American and Jewish communities nationally, but also locally. And Bill Gray, who was in Congress at that time, Majority Whip, he was pastor of Bright Hope Baptist Church, came from a lineage of pastors. And George Ross, who was chairman of the American Jewish Committee, came up with this idea for a program where they would take young people from both communities, kids who had demonstrated already some leadership abilities in their schools, their homes, their churches, their synagogues, and bring them together for an immersion in culture. And the students traveled for, I guess, the first 10 years or so to West Africa, to Senegal, Gambia, uh, to Israel also. And the goal of it was not necessarily to come back lovey smoochy, but to have enough of an understanding of the history of each other and where the connections are that we could sit down at a table together and work out problems that existed in our community together. So yeah, we had the chance once Bill Gray invited the group down to DC, and we took the train down, and I'm sitting on an aisle seat. There's a young man across the aisle, young lawyer. Next to me was an elder lawyer, and they're talking to each other. And at one point, the elder lawyer says, "Listen, I was just in my attic, just going through stuff, and look what I found." And he had the document that was the lawsuit that was filed against Neshoba County when Schwerner, Goodman, and Cheney went missing. He had the actual document with the names of all those who were the plaintiffs in that. So that's a long-standing history in this country of working together, of a similar history, actually. And that's been rent, that's been torn. And hopefully that connection can still be made. But also, I'm also seeing people who are out marching who are Muslim, who are Sikh, who are Buddhist. We're all humans, and that's what this comes down to, that each person, each human being is worthy of equal parts dignity and justice in this country.
Yeah, and you really make such a great point in that, the relations need to be widened, and particularly in this time of a rising landscape of awareness, widened into other communities and with people who claim no faith path. Uh,
Yes.
it's a particularly key time, I think, to advance some of the gains that we've made over even the last 6 months.
Yes. Yeah.
I just want to read from some of what's in the chat room. Karen Schofield says, it's a long arc bent toward justice. Indeed, it is. Denise Jones says, the spirituals are uplifting to us in our weakness, and the music is the groanings of our hearts.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah, there's a, Paulette remembers the old wooden floors too. Yeah, before we got all so fancy and, built our churches out of other materials, you know. Denise also says, I remember this, Charlotte, in my grandfather's low country church in South Carolina, the feet sliding on the floor. I
Hmm.
will never forget the heel and the toe tap and the feet
Yes.
sliding percussion.
Yes.
Um, Looking down here, I see from Storm, today is my daughter uh, Mariah's birthday, 35th birthday. She lives life through the lens of nonverbal autism, severe mental retardation, severe epilepsy, and much, much more. Never spoken, can't read or type. Psychologically tests between 18 and 23 months. Lives in a medical group home in another state. Her house is in lockdown. I usually visit every 2 to 2.5 months. Haven't been there since November. Not sure when I'll be allowed and safely able to be with her again. I just had a miraculous Zoom. She looked a little she looked a little and let me read the entire Dr. Seuss's Happy Birthday. So to you and sing God Dan oh, dance the day we were born. Yeah, well,
Can I
thank you so
say,
much.
we had to live through the challenging experience of a mother who was just very active make a descent into Alzheimer's, and we would often go to this wonderful place where she was and sing. My sister would sing, my brother would play piano or violin, and at a time when my mother could no longer communicate at all, um, we would sing. She couldn't. Sometimes we would sing. People would say, look at their children who were visiting, and like my mother said to me once, Charlotte is here. I'm like, yeah, right. You're looking at her. But even if they couldn't recognize their siblings, their spouses, or whatever, they could remember the choruses of many of the hymns. And when my mother was no longer able to even do that, we would sing, and as the singing ended, her chorus director hand would still move for about another 15 seconds.
Oh,
So the connection was still being made somewhere. And I know that there's a connection that is made with his daughter that was made when he's read that Dr. Seuss book. I think
powerful, powerful
that's the
stuff.
thing. Yeah.
Songs are so they're so critical. They're so integral to our resonating spirits and our heartbeat. And I love the fact that you introduced the percussion in. Uh, Jane adds in a link that the Jewish community contributed greatly to the NAACP's founding
Yes.
and continued financing, and speaks of having relatives who were part of that. Um,
Spring Iron. Is it Spring Iron? He was one of the founders because that's his name
yes,
is
yeah.
metal. Yeah, named after him.
So, Charlotte, in this time, are you feeling weary?
I'm feeling a lot of things. I had a lot of mixed emotions when this first blew up. Um, uh, in I guess in June is when we saw the knee on the neck. Was it June? I think it was June. And I had been invited. The National Storytelling Conference went virtual,
Hmm.
and I was invited to participate on a panel around telling stories around social justice, racism, and social justice. And then this whole thing blew up, and I there was a lot of anger that emerged because of, in so many ways, well, not just in so many. These are really just tiny, tiny dots on a 400-year timeline of brutality. And we've heard names being called all of our lives. So I just named three: Schwerner, Goodman, and Cheney, Cynthia Wellesley, Carol Robertson, the little girls who died in the bombing, Emmett Till. If we put each name on a tiny piece of paper and put them end to end, they would spread from sea to shining sea. So there's a lot of rage because we live this American experience in this skin every day, and it's oblivious to everybody else. And often when you speak about it, it's not believed. It's like we are not credible witnesses for our own experience. Someone else has to come into my community, do a study, and then publish it, and then that will tell you who I am and what my experience is. But the only difference is technology, cameras in people's hands with phones, and it's exposing it. So it ensures that well, some people probably choose to ignore it, but I don't think that that's most people, given incident after incident after incident after incident happening now. But again, those are just little tiny fractions of a percentage of examples of the kind of treatment that we have had over the years. So, so there's a lot of rage. Actually, I had to stay off social media because if you got me started, you know, I might not finish. Somebody have to come in my house and drag me off the computer. But I did go back to. I had, thankfully, there's an alumni student from the school where I taught, Friends Select, which is.
Ah, I think we may have lost Charlotte. Oh, we are in the Zoomosphere. You never know what's going to happen. Well, the well, perhaps she'll get back in. I want to read a couple of other things here. Barbara Dean puts in Alive Inside is a wonderful documentary showing the power of music and even the physical power of music, even when the brain can't function in other ways. I will say that years ago, when I did my first tour of Kansas and Colorado and going to nursing homes, often I would go in to sing, and they would wheel people into the room who were otherwise non-responsive or unresponsive, and I would begin to sing, and I'm sure a lot of you know this. They would hear a song, a spiritual or a song like "How Great Thou Art," or the touring in Kansas, I would do, you know, "Home, Home on the Range," and they would come alive, and they would begin to sing. And in that moment, some of them would even smile. The brain would just trigger that spot. So I learned to go into those places and not do my new fancy songs that I'd written, but to do songs that were really connecting people to that memory. And I know great studies have been done since that time on the brain connection and the, you know, connection to song, and where it lives in the brain and what it triggers. So it's powerful. And I see Charlotte is here, and we're gonna let her back in, and we can have her lead us in two courses on this. Charlotte, are you here?
Yes, I forgot,
Welcome back.
I forgot to keep my laptop charged.
Yeah, it's a thing, isn't it?
Uh,
Well,
but
I
I'm sorry.
okay.
I
No,
had there's an alumni Friends Select school who started a community meeting for worship. So I had a trying day on Wednesday. A truck hit my prized baby boomer nostalgia red Beetle convertible. I finally got back home in time for the last 15 minutes of silence for a virtual meeting for worship. But what came to me, I was asked if I had anything to say because they had checked in with people at the beginning. But what came to me was an old maxim that's often associated with the Hippocratic Oath, although it's not part of the oath, and that is first, do no harm. So, if anything, if I am feeling rage, I'm not going to speak rage. I'm going to keep my silence in that instance. I'm going to take a breath. I'm going to take a few breaths. I'm going to wait 24 hours or whatever I need to do so that I don't add fuel to this burning fire. Now, I know there are times that people are going to come at me with flames. And sometimes flames need to be tended to, but they don't need to be added to. We don't need to throw fuel on that fire. Fires and flames can be cooled. So it takes sometimes a little bit more work to channel those emotions of anger or confusion or whatever it is, exasperation, into something that's going to cool flames of anger and hatred and rage. So first, do no harm. So that's the maxim that runs through my head at this time.
Charlotte, I'm so amazed by what you have learned in your 39 years. It's so remarkable. Well, we're going to bring our time together to a close, but if you would lead us in a couple of other choruses of that song again and just sort of center it in our being for the day.
I'm I'm off my microphone.
You still sound good.
Members don't get weary. Members don't get weary. Members don't get weary for the work's not done. Members don't get weary. Members don't get weary. Members don't get weary for the works are not done. We will offer love and healing. We will offer love and healing. We will offer love and healing till our work is done. We will offer love and healing. We will offer love and healing. We will offer love and healing till our work is done. Members don't get weary. Members don't get weary. Members don't get weary for the works not done. Members don't get weary. Members don't get weary. Members don't get weary for our works not done. For our works not done.
Well, if we were weary, we can pick up and go on now. Thank you so much, Charlotte Blake Alston.
Oh, thank you, Reggie. So good to be here with you.
We want to say goodbye to all of our folks on Facebook and wish you a wonderful